Hello, this is Kerry again, and we're going to talk about making our meals. And it's a question that comes up lots and lots of times, and people ask me, how on earth do I cook for everybody at the dinner table? And I say, you don't. You absolutely don't. You cook one meal and you modify for everybody there, just like the meal plans are done for you. So what I want to do is talk about how we eat when we're out with other people, how we eat at the family dinner table too. So let me share my screen with you, and then we can have a look at, oops, I already went through this PowerPoint once. All right. Let's get started. So let's talk about the two things that we really need to know in order to have good meal planning. So first off, you have to know what your dosha is. Otherwise, you don't know what to eat for yourself. And the second thing you have to know that we talked about last month is what are those 6 tastes? So the 6 tastes are sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. And each one of those tastes has an effect on different doshas. So if you're Vata, for example, you're going to do better with sweet, sour, and salty tastes. But those tastes are actually going to aggravate kapha. So kaphas know, because they often gravitate towards that sweet taste, that it's not the best taste for them. It's going to make them feel sluggish. The salty taste is not great for pittas. The sour taste is going to fire up the heat of pitta. So it is really, really important to know about the 6 tastes, what they are, and how they affect them. So at some point, though, you will be eating with other people. You don't eat by yourself, and that would be really easy, wouldn't it? You know, to follow our Ayurveda plan, if we lived in a vacuum and it was just us by ourselves, we just cooked for ourselves, ate for ourselves, exercised for ourselves, didn't have to worry about anybody else. But that's not the real world we live in. You probably don't eat by yourself. So what happens when a meal has to feed several different people? And what if there's all different dosha types sitting around your dinner table? What are you to do? Well, first off, we do not make separate meals. Once again, we do not make separate meals, even though many of you are trying to do that. That's way too much hard work. What we do is we provide a meal with a variety of tastes and options, and that way people can pick what is right for them. But, you know, life is not easy. We're invited to graduation parties, to 4th of July barbecues, to birthday parties, anniversaries. The events just mount up, don't they? And what is a person to do who's trying to follow her Ayurveda plan? And I'm often reminded of these challenges by my clients. And here's what I say. Real life has pizza parties. Real life has birthday parties and weddings and graduations. And eating is pleasurable, and we should thoroughly enjoy it. So when did eating become so complicated for us? And it's easy to be confused because the rules of nutrition seem to be constantly changing, but not so in Ayurveda. The rules remain constant. It is just the seasons that change. So let's look at how this is going to work. Let's go to a barbecue. I'm going to invite you to a barbecue. Let me do it this way, actually, and then you can see the full screen. So here's my invite to a barbecue. Good times, good food, cold drinks, not too cold though. And you receive this invite to my barbecue and you agree that you're going to come. We're going to have a great time. But let's see what a Vata, Pitta, and Kapha do decide to do at this barbecue. So let's go ahead and join the barbecue. First off, let's take a look and see what's on the table. So before you ever start eating somewhere, just take a step back and think, okay, what is on the table? What am I looking at here? So what we can see is a big bowl of salad. There's some leafy kale, some spinach at the base. There's some chickpeas in that salad. And then some broccoli, some carrots, and green beans. There's also a large plate of grilled veggies, including some mushrooms, tomatoes, zucchini, green beans, some cooked broccoli, sugar snap peas, and carrots. And then there is a large warm loaf of crusty bread and roasted garlic butter on the side for smearing on the bread. And that's if I don't all eat it first. That's my big downfall. There's some grilled chicken that's been marinated in olive oil, garlic, and salt and pepper. The veggie burgers, you can't see them, they're cooking. They have olive oil brushed on them, and they're topped with fresh mozzarella cheese, some basil from the garden, and garden fresh tomatoes too. There's some whole wheat rolls, they're warming and they're being lightly toasted for the burgers. And there's some baked beans simmering in a crock pot. There's also some fresh grilled corn on the cob. Lots of condiments, including some olive oil, some chili pepper flakes, sunflower seeds, ranch dressing, some balsamic vinaigrette, as well as some ketchup and mustard too. So how do you build your plate? Well, let's say you're a Kafir, or you're predominantly Kafir. So Kafirs, knowing that they need a light affair, they're going to pile half their plates with salad, and then they're going to add some balsamic vinaigrette. They would take a veggie burger, but they're going to ditch the mozzarella. They're going to add a sprinkle of hot pepper flakes to their veggie burger. They like the idea of the beans. They certainly do. Then realize that these beans are loaded with sugar. So they take a piece of corn instead. They prefer their corn naked, so they don't add sugar or garlic butter. They're going to take a piece of bread, and although a Kafir may look longingly at another piece of bread, they know that too much bread is going to make them feel really heavy and sluggish later on. Now, our pitters, if you've got pitter in you, you're going to pile, or pitters are going to pile a third of their plate with the salad and dressing. And because pitters have a good appetite, they'll probably have a veggie burger and a piece of chicken too. They'll stay away from anything that's a little spicy, so they ditch the mustard and garlic. And although they may take a second look at the tomatoes, they know that those tomatoes are probably going to give them heartburn later. So they go for the corn and some baked beans, relishing in the sweet taste of the baked beans. Remember, the sweet taste is a good thing for pitters. Now, vatters, they're going to skip the salad altogether. They're going to gravitate towards the grilled veggies, knowing that raw veggies are going to make them really sort of gassy and bloated later. They're going to make a beeline for that warm bread. They're going to add lots of olive oil, some garlic butter. They'll probably pick at a piece of chicken, put it down, forget where they put it, start it all over with a veggie burger. They'll pick at that too because they've just filled up on the bread. They'll just pick around everything. But at the end of the day, everybody's going to have a great time at the barbecue. So Kafir felt joyful, light, clear-headed, and happy because of the veggies and not too much heaviness from the burger or the bread. Pitter, they're content. They're full of humor and wit because the bitter greens and the salad help their minds stay clear and their emotions cool as well. They didn't get heartburn from an overly spicy meal with garlic. And vatters, well, they're just hugging everybody. They're telling story with their hands flinging in the air. And for once, they don't feel bloated. Instead, they feel grounded and satisfied from their grilled veggies, their bread with extra olive oil, and their chicken too. So by knowing themselves and by making the right choices, these three, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, left the barbecue feeling really happy and satisfied. None of them will have digestive problems later that night. They'll all wake up the next morning feeling happy, clear, and full of vitality. So the key is knowing yourself. And then you will find that you can customize your plate no matter where you are. Now, that's all fine and good. In fact, that's great if you're at a barbecue and you have lots of options to choose from. And I agree, this was a very healthy barbecue, wasn't it? But what about the dinner table with your family? What are you to do then? So once again, because it's worth repeating, we do not make separate meals. It's not you with your little Ayurveda khichdi and everybody else chowing down on burger and fries. So once again, we do not make separate meals. What we do is we provide a base meal with a variety of tastes and options so that each person can build their plate a little differently. So let's have a family dinner. Pizza night. Who says you can't have pizza when you do Ayurveda? Of course you can. So once again, let's stop. Let's have a look. Let's see what's on the table. So we have a hearty green salad with some spinach, some broccoli, carrots, and pumpkin seeds on it. We have a toasted loaf of crusty bread there too. And the pizza, it has a medium thick crust with some olive oil brushed on and topped with fresh mozzarella cheese, basil from the garden, or basil as you would say, and some garden fresh tomato slices. And then our condiments at the table, we've got some chili pepper flakes, some sunflower seeds, some ranch dressing, some balsamic vinaigrette. So how do we build our plate here? We know our families pretty well. Well, Kaffers, knowing that they need a lighter fare again, they're going to pile half their plate with some salad, add some balsamic vinaigrette to that salad. They're going to take one slice of pizza and sprinkle some hot pepper flakes on that pizza. They might also go for a couple of garlic cloves and smear it on their pizza too, because they like that pungency. They are going to skip the bread because the crust of the pizza is going to be more than enough for Kaffers. Too much bread is going to make them feel really heavy and sluggish later on. Now, Pitters, what they're going to do is they're going to pile half of their plate with salad and dressing. Now, they have a hearty appetite, so they're probably going to take at least a couple of slices of pizza. They're going to skip the chili flakes or the red pepper flakes, excuse me, but they're going to enjoy some of that fresh bread. They're going to put some olive oil on it probably. They're going to bypass the garlic, though, because that's going to give them heartburn. Excuse me. Well, I have a swig of my tea. What Vatters are going to do is they're going to skip the salad, or at the very least, pick out the bits that they like the chickpeas and the broccoli. The rest is going to make them very gassy for later. They're going to go for that bread. They're going to add some olive oil. They're going to add some garlic to it as well to warm them up. They'll probably only have one slice of pizza that they pick at, since they tend to fill up on bread and they tend to pick at a lot of different things anyway. And at the end of this meal, everybody's going to feel pretty good. Kaffer's going to feel joyful. They're going to feel clear-headed and happy because of the vegetables. They won't feel that they've eaten too much of that cheesy pizza, so it's not going to weigh them down and make them feel sluggish. The bitter greens are going to help Pitter again. They're going to feel clear, and they're not going to have heartburn from an overly spicy pizza, and they avoided the garlic. And Vatters are going to feel really good because they're not gassy and bloated. They're going to feel grounded and satisfied from the bread and the pizza. So by knowing themselves again, and by sort of choosing the right taste for them, then everybody at the dinner table, the family dinner table, is also going to feel really good. So you make one meal. In this case, it was a mozzarella pizza. But you're going to add the 6 tastes around it and then allow each dosha to help themselves. Now, if you're not sure, there is always my meal plan that you have access to. And what we've done is I've done the hard work for you. I've created the base meal, and you'll see that there are modifications for each dosha that comes to the table. So that way you can change things around for people and modify for them. So once again, make a base meal. Do not make separate meals for each person. That is way too much work. Just make a base meal, add the 6 tastes around it, and then you'll find that everybody can help themselves to it. And it's much, much easier to eat that way. And you'll find actually it's pretty simple. So any questions, just email me or text me. That's great. If you have any questions about sort of meal planning with others, it's actually a lot easier than people are asking me questions about. Don't forget that on the 28th of each month, we have these group calls where we pick a topic and talk about them. Last month was the 6 tastes. This month we talked about meal planning. I've forgotten what we're doing next month, but it's written down somewhere. When I send this recording out, I'll send you the link to what we're going to talk about next month. So love to see you on each month. Love to do these calls for you. And take care. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.